was my son, and today is his birthday.
Welcome back, camp counselors. How you guys doing? Chris the Nightmare here. So welcome to the channel, guys. So in today's video, we are going to be talking, of course, Friday the 13th. Now, as you guys can guess from the thumbnail already, we're going to be talking about Sackhead Jason. Now, the one thing about the new Friday the 13th news that we're possibly going to get a new movie sometime next year. We're definitely going to get some news later on in the year. But my thing is, we talked about Pamela coming back for the reboot, remake, whatever it is that they decide to do. But my question is, will we get the hockey mask Jason as quickly as possible, or will we start off with the Sackhead Jason? Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Sackhead Jason looks kind of hillbilly-ish and kind of funny with that sack. I kind of was on that same boat when I first saw Friday the 13th Part 2. I just didn't really like the look. However, until 2009, when the remake happened and we saw Derek Mears in that sack, I gotta say that's when I started appreciating the sack look, even in the original Friday the 13th Part 2. And, you know, for some reason, the hockey mask is iconic, obviously. That is always going to be Jason's mask right there. That's going to be number one. But I'm kind of anxious, and I'm hoping that if we do get another movie, remake, reboot, let's just say we're going to get a reboot or a remake, right, for the Friday the 13th, I would love to see Jason again with that sack mask. Now, probably not as with the coveralls, even though he does look cool in the coveralls. You know, like I said, I've gotten some brand new appreciation for the Jason in Part 2 with the look. I dig it. I think it's pretty cool. But if we were going to do a reboot, you know, of course you're going to do Pamela Voorhees. You have to have Pamela. She is a big staple in the Friday the 13th franchise. You cannot have that without her. On the second hand, you know, we have the Sack Jason, which I think looks really cool, you know. And, you know, I would love to see a little bit of Part 2 and Part 3 in the same movie. So if you look at 2009, they kind of had all three movies into one. So you got the little synopsis or the little summary of what happened in Friday the 13th Part 1. You got the Sack Jason, and then you also got where Jason finds his hockey mask. Now, just like I said, guys, you know, it's been 13 years since the last Friday the 13th movie. As much as we want to see Pamela, I know fans and myself are dying to see Jason. But I want him to find the hockey mask. Like, that has to be an iconic moment if they choose to do the reboot way of the new Friday the 13th movie. You know, you have to have him build up that scene. You have to get that has to be an epic moment for Jason when he finds that hockey mask. So before you could get the hockey mask, of course we all know that he starts with the sack. And, you know, like I said, that is one look, and why we're doing this video is because I want to talk about that look. You know, a lot of people don't like Sack Jason, a lot of people do. But if you really think about it, obviously before Jason had the hockey mask, he had something that he needed to cover his face. What better than a sack on his head with the little eye out? So I think the Sack Jason is a really good look. I'm not going to lie, I do want to see more of that Sack Jason. You know, Part 2 was amazing. I thought, you know, after seeing 2009 and kind of getting more of an appreciation for that sack, I fell in love with Friday the 13th Part 2 even more because that was a cool look. Now, like I said, going into the reboot or anything like that, I would love to see more of that look. Maybe a different outfit, you know, but I can really see the power that is behind that sack too. And I know it's going to sound funny, like, well, it's just a sack. Well, a hockey mask is just a hockey mask, even though it's more iconic, you know, and that's Jason's mask. Like, everybody knows Jason from that hockey mask. But we have to appreciate the sack, that temporary mask that Jason had before he found the hockey. And, you know, the one thing about the sack is that it is as scary as the hockey mask. Maybe not as much, but it's right there with being as scary and iconic as that hockey mask. And, you know, the one thing I like is that you can see the evolution of Jason. And that's one thing that I love about the Friday the 13th movies, is that you see Jason evolve into this powerhouse, to this beast, this killer that has nothing else on his mind but killing people who trespass on Camp Crystal Lake to avenge himself, to avenge his mother. And, you know, that's, I think, a very important part of Jason when you're watching the Friday the 13th movies is, you know, you start off as a boy, you know, you grow up into a man and you have your sack over your head, and then you escalate and you move on to the hockey mask, where he finds that iconic hawk and he puts it on for the first time. I remember watching him come out of the barn in Part 3 for the first time with the harpoon. boom, iconic. But I love the fact that you can see Jason pretty much transcend from boy to man to unstoppable dead force that just keeps coming at you. And that, I believe, the sack look is very important to have, because that's Jason not in his prime. That's Jason where he's still growing, he's still finding himself, he's still finding his niche, his groove, what's going on, how am I handling things. So that head sack is very iconic in itself too. It tells a lot about Jason. You know, it's kind of like it's gonna sound funny, but it's kind of like Pokemon, right? Where Pokemon, you know, after they reach a certain stage, they evolve. That stage with the sack mask is Jason's, like, not even final transformation, but that's the stage where you know Jason's still growing. And then when he finally finds that hockey mask, that's when he fully evolves. He's in his prime, and the rest is history. But that sack mask, like I said, it was something very different, to where I didn't really know if I liked it or not. It was something about 2009 when I just saw Derek Mears as a beast with that sack on that made it more terrifying. Then going back to part 2, you see the look, you know, the coveralls and everything. That was a little bit funny, but it actually worked though. The whole outfit, the sack, I mean, the look did work for Jason. And, you know, the one thing too is that when they were filming the movies and stuff like that, they had to have a look for him, and that was a nice temporary look for him until we know the olive green shirt, you know, and the kind of like white grayish pants. So that sack Jason look is very important, and I think we need to look at it as Friday the 13th fans as what the importance of that mask, right? You know, like I said, it's the evolution. That's what he had temporarily, and that's the one thing that I can't wait for, especially if they do a reboot, is to see him back in that sack mask, see him starting out in his journey as the Camp Crystal Lake Avenger, and, you know, seeing him just grow as a slasher in the horror community. And, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to Jason. You know, I've said it before in Camp Nightmare and some previous videos. People can relate to Jason. You can relate to being the oddball. You can relate to, you know, being picked on as a kid, especially if you're in the horror community. We all know that feeling, right? Family and friends asking us, how can you sleep with things like this in the room? How can you watch stuff like that? I mean, even though they love you, that's still a little bit of a jab towards you because you're weird, right? I always say, be the weird you want to see in this world. And that's why a lot of people can relate to Jason. We evolve with Jason as the movies progress. You know, we feel for Pamela. We find out Jason's still alive, you know, in part 2, and, you know, with the sack look. And like I said, it's just all about evolution with these movies and seeing Jason grow. And as fans for the movies, we grow with him. And that's what's really exciting about it. And that's why I have a whole new appreciation for the sackhead Jason look. You know, like I said, it is just like the caterpillar before going into the cocoon and becoming a butterfly, right? Or a moth, whatever it is you want to call it. But that sack look, it does look badass. I'm not going to lie. And I would love to see Jason, and I kind of said this in the last stream, you know, I wish in 2009 we could have gotten the sack look just a little bit longer, because it was awesome to see that Jason in 2009 go crazy with the sack look. And that was even before the hockey mask. Once he found that hockey mask, boom, done deal, right? But again, there's like a double meaning, and that's digging in deep, you know. And I don't want to be rambling on too much and keep you guys longer than what I need to, but I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel about the sackhead look? Do you guys agree with me? Do you think it's a form of evolution? You know, Jason where he's like level 5, and then once he finds the hockey mask, he goes to level 10. But the importance of that sack mask, like if you really think about it, it means a lot. And that look in part 2 and in 2009, early 2009 movie, you know, you get that look, and you get that fear, that scariness of unknown, what's under the sack, right? Same thing with Michael, what's under the mask. And that's what makes that sack look so scary. What is under that sack? You kind of know what's under the hockey mask. We know what Jason looks like under the hockey mask. But in part 2, that sack look, you didn't know what was under there. You didn't see hardly any of the head. The only thing you saw was that one eye. But a very powerful look. It really has a strong meaning behind it. So, you know, I just wanted to touch on that on Sackhead Jason. Hopefully we get him in the reboot, or we see him in the movie. Like I said, it's just one of those iconic images of Jason that you have to touch on. Just like you have to touch on Pamela if you're going to do the movie and the franchise right. So, yeah, just a little ramble, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think of Sackhead Jason? Do you think, like how I'm thinking, like an evolution piece? You see him transcend, you know, from, you know, like I said, not in his prime, all the way up into his prime with the hockey mask. But I do believe that sackhead Jason is plays a very important part in the movie. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also consider becoming a member like these awesome people here on screen. These members are absolutely awesome and amazing when it comes to super chats, supporting the channel. Everything that I make off of the channel goes right back into the channel, whether it be figures, statues, reviews, equipment, you know, gas money to go travel to filming locations and things like that. So I do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And yeah, don't forget, every Friday at 10 p.m. we have Camp Nightmare, a new Friday the 13th podcast that I'm doing with Jay the Ripper. So if you haven't followed him yet on Instagram, definitely go check him out on Instagram. But Friday the 13th is here. Jason is going to come back to life. We just got to be patient. And I'm excited, guys. Thank you for joining me in this journey, because it's going to be a long road ahead before we get that Friday the 13th movie. But I think with the ton of characters that we have, the stories, the rabbit holes, we're going to have a lot of content and a lot of things to talk about. So thank you guys for watching. I'm done blabbering and wasting your guys' time. Have a good day, guys. Don't be a monster. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. See you later. Be safe.